The history of Sophanem is closely tied to the history of its neighbouring city, Menethos. The Second Age of Gielinor more than 6,000 years ago marks the start of history in the desert. In the early Second Age, the gods Tumikin and Elidinus were said to have arrived in Gielinor at the river Elid, falling in love and starting a family, including their son Icthlarin and daughter Amaskut. These gods would make for the start of the desert pantheon, with Tumikin eventually creating the lesser gods Atmaken, Krondis, Het, and Scabarus. During the mid-Second Age, as the Zerosians of the north made their way into the then lush Caridian territories, the forces of Menethos fought in a great war to prevent the further spread of the Zerosian invaders. The tide of this war was looking bleak for the Menephites until Icthlarin convinced powerful Marjurat from Freneskae to join on the side of the Caridians. With the forces of Zaros pushed back for a time, the pharaoh Osmumtum was crowned. This didn't last long, however, as the Marjurat, under the influence of Sliskae, defected to Zaros. It was only once Tumikin, the god of the sun, sacrificed himself in a magical blast of fire that the armies of both sides were obliterated. This act devastated the surrounding lush areas, turning it into the desert that we know today. When Zaros eventually fell and the God Wars began in the Third Age, the cities of Uza and Ulek grew and fell, while other desert dwellers made their way across the lands. Zerosians were persecuted, while Zamorakian and Saradominus forces made their way throughout the desert. Menethos, however, largely remains out of the histories during this time. It wasn't until the Fourth Age that newer settlements started to be built around the desert, seemingly under the central control of Menethos. It's possible that Sophanem was either built as a neighbouring city or split to become its own city under Menephite rule at this time. Sophanem has garnered the nickname the City of the Dead due to their worship of Icthlarin, the god of the dead and shepherd of the departed souls. In the late Fourth Age, and likely spilling over into the Fifth Age, the Menephites were at war with Al-Kharid. The current spy master of Al-Kharid, Osman, described the Sophanites as old enemies, hinting that Sophanem was already constructed or separated by this time. By the year 169 of the Fifth Age, the cities of Sophanem and Menethos were locked down with many plagues. The recent death of the high priest of Icthlarin, Clentur, was met with a weaker replacement. At this time, the goddess Amaskut in disguise, now evil, tricked and hypnotized a passing adventurer to cause further disruptions within the town. Due to a hastily performed ritual, the town did not meet its end, and soon enough, the city of Sophanem was reopened, though this did not extend to the nearby Menethos.